All right, guys, we are going to be learning about today something that is called the circular flow matrix. One thing that you probably will notice is that below, there we go, you can see that I have the closed captioning on. If it is a little bit distracting for you, I apologize. Um, but that's kind of the best way for me to make sure that you're able to hear everything I'm talking about as I go through this. But anyway, we're going to talk about the circular flow matrix today. And what the circular flow matrix is it just really talks about how money moves. And honestly, right now in this really difficult economic time, this is a really good time to understand the circular flow matrix and understand why is it that our economy has been doing so poorly. And why is it that when, a restaurant closes or when we can't go to sports games, how so many people are affected in really negative ways? And so that's what we're going to be looking at today. And so here's the key idea that we have to make sure we understand when we're looking at the idea of the circular flow. Money never stops moving unless you specifically don't spend it. So if you put it away into savings or something like that, money never stops moving. And so once money reaches another person, then they will turn around and they'll spend it for goods and services and resources. We call this the money multiplier effect. The idea that, like, if one of you owned or runs a restaurant, I drove into that runs a restaurant, I just got paid, first of all. So let's say I just got paid. I have money. I spend that money on the runs a restaurant. That money more or less eventually gets to you, the worker at the runs a restaurant. You then turn around and you might spend that money on buying a house. With that house, you have to pay property taxes. When you pay for property taxes, you pay for my wages. And so that's how money keeps on moving. And that's a good thing. We want money to keep flowing in a society. It's good to set away things for savings, but the whole reason we save money is so that in the future we can spend it when we need to. And so that's a key idea we have to understand for today. Money never stops moving. Okay, so you are actually on a sheet of paper going to create a circular flow graph. And so this is going to be, I would like set aside a half a page for this. On the one hand, you're going to have businesses on the left, and you can use whatever symbol or form. You can just write the word business. You don't even have to draw this like I did. And then you can have a house on the right to represent homes. So businesses obviously are just going to represent businesses, and homes are just going to represent people's homes. So here's the first part of our circular flow matrix, and it's the product market, anywhere goods and services are sold. So I would put, kind of separate from the half page you've set aside for this drawing, that's where I would write product market underneath. Any place where goods and services are sold. And so that could be like the mall, online on Amazon, go into your favorite store if it's open currently. That is where anywhere where goods and services are sold. And so what happens is this first part of the matrix is that you have your goods and services that are at Amazon or at Scheels or at Walmart or at wherever. You have those goods and services, and you go and you buy them at the product market. So let's say Nike's the business, it makes something, it sends its stuff to Scheels, Scheels being the product market. So Nike's over here, it's a business, it's going to sell its stuff at Scheels, that's the product market, that's the place where goods and services are sold. And then, of course, once you go and buy it, it will go from there to your home. That is the first part of the circular flow matrix. You have a good made out of business, it goes to the market, you take it from the market. Fairly straightforward. So obviously, as you're doing this, you can't just take goods without any cash. You have to be able to have a job. And so we have the product market where things are bought and sold, and then we have the resource market where kind of yourself is sold. So where basically I sell my labor or my resources. And so kind of like when you get a job, you have to go and you have to leave your home and you have to go to, like, you are the resource market. You're saying, "Hey, I'm offering up my services." And you have to go to your job or to a business in order to do that. And so that's the resource market. It's basically anywhere where you sell your services, whether that's you actually like working or whether that's something you make at home and then you turn around and you sell it at another place. That's the resource market. You going from your home to your job and then your job benefiting from your services. Okay? So this is what we got so far. We've got you work from home, you work from home or you are at home, you go to work, and that work benefits from your job. The job then might create a good or a service that then they sell. You go from your house to the market to go buy that thing that they're selling, and it comes back home to you. That's one way that this thing flows. But prepare yourself. It's about to get to another level. And that's the flow of money. And this is a fairly, again, it's going to seem a little bonkers at first. It's just like, oh my gosh, what are these arrows doing here? But think about it. When you buy something from a business, when you go to that product market, so like the business made it and you buy it at the product market, you are going to give something back to the business, right? You are going to give them your money. And so that's why they flow in the opposite directions. When I go from home to work, like I don't give away my labor for free, I expect to be paid. That's why money is going to flow back to me. And so the money is just flowing to wherever you're getting your service from. So there you go. The flow of money goes in the opposite direction. So homes are going to spend their money on products, which is obviously spending. There's something called revenue. I'm really sorry that the words are really white on that chart over there, but they are there, I promise. But there's something called revenue, which is the amount of money that you make off of selling a product. That's what the businesses are making when you buy those nice, sweet Nike shoes, whether it's Jordans or LeBrons or whatever it is you buy. Businesses pay people to work. Now, to the business, that's a cost. To you, that's your income. And so that is the flow of money. It goes in the opposite direction of where goods go, which makes sense because if I buy a good, I'm giving my money to the business, but I get the good. So they're flowing in opposite directions. Okay, so right now our confusing flow chart, our circular flow matrix should look like this. Goods and services go one way, and our money goes the opposite way. We have one more thing to throw in there, and that's the pesky government, who kind of plays both sides and just makes things super confusing. And so they have arrows both going out and going in. They give stuff to business and homes, and they take from businesses and homes in the form of taxes. And so that's the last thing we got to throw into this just to make it a confusing mess. And so, like I said, the government's the last player. The out arrows are the things the government gives us because the government does give us stuff. It gives us parks, it gives us police services, it gives us stuff like that for free. We call those things public goods because they're services paid for by the government for everyone to enjoy. It doesn't matter whether I'm wealthy or poor, I get to enjoy it. You all get to go to school, even though you might not appreciate it. You all get to go to school. That is a free government service. Parks, like parks, police services, fire department, that sort of stuff. All of that is provided by the government. And so how do they pay for that money? What do they take from you? Taxes. And so it's pretty straightforward like that. So that's the confusing mess. That is the circular flow matrix. But that explains how money is constantly flowing. And so the problem is what we're experiencing right now in our country is that the money is not flowing. A lot of us are holding on to our money because we have to. We need to stay away from each other in order to stop the spread of this disease. And so we're not able to spend our money. And so as a result, people aren't getting that money to keep the flow going. And that's where we're running into issues. So there you go. There's that chart again. These are the quick recap questions you need to do. And so there's that Google form at the end that I said you needed to fill in. These are the 2 questions up here that you need to answer. If you don't remember them, go back to your notes. All right, and here's the funnies for today. When you're part of a group chat, but you never actually contribute anything to the conversation. 6-year-old me waiting for my mom to choose what I'm going to wear after taking a bath. And finally, how I look in the bathroom mirror, how I look in that picture. I hope you are all doing well and staying safe. Have a good rest of your day.